Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This week's show, we're talking about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Kowloon Generic Romance Season 1, Episode 8. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we're immediately picking up where the last episode left off, and Yao Mei is still in disbelief of everything she's hearing because she's like, no, Reiko is here. I can touch her. I can see her. I can interact with her. But Gwen breaks down what he knows. And obviously, he doesn't fully understand the situation, but he brings up, like, once again, any person, because he's like, I lived in Kowloon, so I was here when it was demolished. So I do know for a fact it was demolished. He's like, in fact, I know there's some familiar faces since I've been back here in Kowloon. I distinctly know they're not living here. They're living somewhere else. And obviously brings up the experiment from a couple episodes ago when the original comes into Kowloon, the one that lives in Kowloon disappears and vanishes from existence like they don't exist. This whole Kowloon doesn't exist, and anyone in this Kowloon doesn't exist like Reiko. Obviously, she's in a very unique position compared to others because she's the only one we definitively know. I don't think there's any other definitive people we know for sure who are like, the original is dead. So she doesn't have to worry about the original coming in. Like Gwen says, like, yo, the Gwen that you initially met was the other me, and he disappeared the moment I came into town. And then it made Reiko think about when Kudo was like, oh, he was like, oh, you met the other Gwen? Because he couldn't find Gwen, so he must have pieced it together, maybe that the OG Gwen, like, who knows how much Kudo was able to kind of figure out on his own. It seemed like he had some decent enough idea, but now the whole retrospect of him being like, I need you to stay here. I think it was in last episode as well, but it made her kind of realize, did Kudo know? And even she asked, like, how much does Kudo know about this? He's like, yeah, he does. So it makes a lot of sense, some of his interactions with her. Yao Mei's kind of found it in herself, like she finds it so hard to believe. So she's like, I'm going to go to Hong Kong and I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find out for myself. I need to hear it from other people. Not that she doesn't distrust Gwen, but hearing it from one person and a pizza delivery guy's like, how can I, because you can't ask anyone in town because that'd be a moot point because everyone, what are you talking about? Of course we're real. Of course this is real. So either way, I thought was interesting. It did seem like Gwen is apologetic towards Reiko because he realizes, like, yeah, I was kind of very harsh with you. I think not just with this whole thing, but also just like how he interacted with her initially, because he's come to recognize her as like, right, you've become your own person. I was just so busy seeing the person I knew that I kind of felt like, oh, you were just some like imitation, but it's like, no, you've become your own person. You may look and sound like her, but you have things that are unique to you and not. They call her Kujirai B. He just calls her Miss Reiko. But either way, he's asking if she's okay. Because it's like at the end of the day, he tells her, like, yo, Kudo does care about you. He's like, really? It's like, yes. And kind of differentiating, like, his feelings for you aren't it's not like he's taking his feelings for Kujirai B and putting them onto you. He does just care about you, just not in the same way as his Reiko. So, and she's kind of got a lot to deal with and process when she ends up running into Kudo later, because it's the conversation of, they're sitting down and they're eating and it's like everything feels real and it tastes real. And at the same time, you had that thing with Gwen where he talks about how that like you become numb to it and you'll be unable to tell what is real and what is fake anymore in a situation. And it's like, how do you contend with like the knowledge of, and you're still struggling with the belief yourself of, well, is this like, this all tastes real, it feels real, but for it to all be fake, that I'm fake? Because it is the thing of like, the conversation from last episode, the end of last episode was, who knows what would happen to Reiko if she left Kowloon? Now, would she automatically disappear? No, but no one on the outside, unless they can see Kowloon, would be able to see her or interact with her. So we don't know, like, would she just disappear, like, once she left the bat? Like, is being inside Kowloon the only thing keeping her existing? And if she ever leaves, would she no longer exist? And so she's hanging out with Kudo, and it's all starting to really weigh on her, and she's like, you asked me before not to leave, and she's asking, like, why did you say that? Why did you? And he was like, why? He's like, he doesn't really say, but for her, it's like, I want you to stay by my side. Can you promise me that you'll never leave? And Kudo had already said that to Gwen last episode, that he has no intentions of leaving Kowloon, and he promises her and embraces her. It's like, it's okay, I'm gonna be here, because she doesn't, because it's like scary knowing what she knows, and she doesn't want to be alone in this moment in time, and just scared that, like, if he goes away, she may never get to see him again. She doesn't have to worry, because it seems to be, they're implying that he's the original because he knows. So those who are not the originals don't really know that they're not the original. So in his case, Kudo is definitely the original, and so they don't have to worry. She doesn't have to worry about a copy showing up here. It makes you wonder: was there a copy here initially that he ended up replacing? Maybe that's why he knows, is he came in here and he just slipped into the other Kudo's life type of thing. Who knows? But that's also really sad when you think about it, because it's like this Kujirai became her own person, and who's to say these other versions of these people, like the Kudo that might have been here originally, the Gwyn that was definitely here originally, like not as in the originals, but like the ones that exist in this like fake Kowloon, this mirage or this illusion of Kowloon, that it's like, who's to say they couldn't become their own persons, which is actually kind of really sad. Once again, because this is a whole philosophical conversation. Once again, it's kind of the Theseus conversation. I think I've referenced that in a previous episode, of just like how different can you be from the original person to kind of be your own person. And do you, because of the circumstances, you technically don't exist, but you have your own feelings, your own memories that you're creating. You're becoming your own person, because she's distinguished herself enough from the original Kujirai B, so that she is her own person, her own entity. So it's a layered, like I said, philosophical question of existence, of, is that thing of, will you only exist because the people around you remember this Kujirai and not Kujirai B, or can remember both of you as separate people? So it's an interesting thing. We also catch up with Miyuki, who's hanging around his dad, and he's just like, "Oh, I can open these curtains for you." He's like, he said something, whatever the case may be. His father called him Howron, and he's like, "It's me. No, I'm Miyuki." He's like, "Isn't that what I called you?" So I'm assuming, once again, it's still unclear what the situation is, but I'm assuming like Howron is definitely the boy from the picture. But like I said, I think that's like the legitimate child, and Miyuki was the bastard child. So the illegitimate child situation. So I'm assuming that was like his brother's name he called him by. That that's what he's hoping to use and take advantage of this whole like other versions of people. He wants to kind of bring back his lost son type of thing, which begs the question, like, because I'm assuming like the woman in that picture is not Miyuki's mom. I think they have the same dad, just different moms. And so I'm curious if like whatever happened to Howron's mom versus Miyuki's, because Miyuki was kind of looking for his mom last episode, like, yo, is she? He was asking for a name, and I was like, it's probably most likely his mom's name. And it's like, so there's not a version of his mom here, because it's probably like well past her. He was hoping like, oh, if like this Kowloon is here, maybe she's here too, but she's probably long since passed, so there's not a version of her here. But we'll get to that a little bit later on. But he ends up talking to Yulong, and we kind of get a little bit more understanding of what happened with Kujirai. We even got that little flashback at the beginning with Kujirai B and Kudo, where she has, she was winning mahjong, talking about how lucky she is, but it also turns out she had a prescription for sleep meds, and Kudo was like, wait, what? She's like, yeah, like every time you go to sleep, I take my pills, like I always do. And so he's like, well, I will make you laugh so hard you'll kind of pass out. I'll make you so happy and feel. And she's like, I am already very happy, But the reason I was bringing that up too was because it turns out how Kujirai died. They said it was by suicide, but wasn't. They never said exactly how. It seems like it was an overdose on whatever medicine she was prescribed, because it says like Dr. Wong gave her more medicine, but considering like the sleep aid she was taking, you would need like, what would be like a sleep aid he prescribed? You'd have to take like 1,000 of them to like kill you. So it's like Dr. Wong didn't do anything wrong, but him being who he is, of course, he's going to take blame on that. But what's interesting though is whatever medication she did take has been scrubbed. Whatever it was, its name has been deleted from the record. So that is interesting. So I'm assuming whatever it is must have something to do with Heavy Numa. Has to, right? Like this all revolves around it, because even Yulong brings up like it is interesting that one of like the first things your dad asked you to do was basically destroy like something about his information. So I guess maybe classify his background to make it seem like he's the legitimate child and not the illegitimate child that he technically is. So it's probably like like strip away your history and confine that information so no one can get it, and probably like delete it or whatever, and recreate your background to make it seem like you're my legitimate child. But because the place he was looking for his mom was a dancer club, so I'm wondering like, was his mom like a lady of the night? Was she a not necessarily a sex worker, but in a line of business that would be frowned upon, because especially if it was like a extramarital affair, it stained the Hebi Numa name even more. So there's many possibilities with it, but why that whole "you be my illegitimate child" would be frowned upon thing. But either way. The other thing was he was the one behind, like, supposed to lead the charge of destroying Kowloon, and especially how deep that cuts him, considering he has a connection to Kowloon through his mom and stuff too. So, and he lived here. So, and the moment Yulong kind of brought that up, you saw that like look in Miyuki's eyes, like, it's like stuff like that. It's more, I think, extra reason for his motivation for his revenge against his dad. So, other than that, we catch up with Yao Mei, which I love that she tried to, like, she's going to pay to kind of get to Hong Kong, but the problem is the moment she tried to scan her phone to like pay for it, it didn't work. She's like, no, I made sure to put money here before I left. But then Gwen was like, oh yeah, like I probably should have told you, any money you earned or got here in Kowloon disappears the moment you leave. I was like, oh, that's something funny I didn't even think about. It makes a total sense. But Gwen gives her a whole bunch of money, and she's like, wow, that's a crap ton of money. He's like, dude, I had a really good job, paid really well, so don't worry about it. But for her, it's like, I'm dead set on, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to find out the truth. So she's asking people, and everyone's telling her the same thing. Kowloon was demolished 3 years ago. She, in fact, runs into a person who lived there. Because the rumors about Kowloon, like, oh, like the kind of ghost city of Kowloon, because once again, only very few people can see it. So that was also a conversation I think she had. I think it was, no, I think she has it later on where she's like, am I weird for it? But it's like, no, several other people are in a similar situation to Yao Mei. She's just in a unique position because she's not originally from Kowloon. A lot of the people who can't, not everyone who was from Kowloon can see Kowloon, but those who lived in Kowloon can. But like I said, it's very interesting circumstances. But like, Yao Mei only moved in here 6 months ago. She never lived in the original Kowloon. Well, once again, it's always you say original because once again the Kowloon that was rebuilt was Kowloon number 2. So she never lived in Kowloon number 2. She's only ever lived in this illusionary one. So either way, she's asking the guy about it. He's kind of like, oh, it's kind of a rumor. There was some kind of Hebi Numa incident. And you're like, what's that about? So I don't know if that has to deal with like Miyuki or maybe like his half brother's death or whatever. I don't know if that's the incident they're referring to, like, but Hebi Numa was covering stuff up, so maybe something went down that they had to cover up. But the moment Yao Mei starts looking it up, she can't find any information, so she gets like in this messaging with this guy codenamed Weasel. And I'm hearing the voice, I'm like, isn't that Yulong's voice? Funny enough, he's in like the room next door, so they have a back and forth about everything of what they know, and so. It's interesting because we get a little backstory in like Yao Mei, how she came to be in Kowloon, because she was just looking for a place. It was like right after she had gotten her plastic surgery. She was just looking for a place to stay. In fact, she was like, I was actually just passing through, and then she was like, I gravitated towards the lights of Kowloon. So I was like, oh, I was only going to stay here one night. And then she ended up staying here 6 months. And then that's when things kind of pieced together for her. She was like, wait a minute. She's like, when I was in Kowloon, it was midsummer. But like when I originally came to Kowloon, it was March. It's been 6 months. And she's like, it's always been midsummer every time I've gotten there. Because it should be September. She's even like, when I'm outside, I don't hear the cicadas or anything. The only consistency is the generic terra in the sky. And so I was like, that's interesting. So I was like, time is basically frozen. Is it the same day over and over again and no one's just conscious and aware of it? Because we see at the end of it when we see Kujirai's phone, it says July 1st. So I'm wondering, is it specifically the same day they're living over and over again, but just people aren't aware of it? And it just, because no one's really noticed that till now, because she didn't even know. She's like, huh, in my time in Kowloon, all I've ever worn were summer clothes. Because at the very least, like I said, it's March when she got there. She even said it was like a chilly night when she got there. So we're still in springtime going, depend, like, I guess it just depends on the seasons, because like I guess like technically summer starts in maybe April. I get in my head I only think of summer as like a May and June. I don't know. I don't know when like summer is like officially starts and stuff like that, and maybe it's also different in Japan. But either way, she's like, I've never had to wear anything outside of summer clothes because it's always been midsummer heat there. So you're like, yeah, it's like I made this reference to something else too. I don't remember what it was now. I remember talking. It might not. I don't think it was this. It might have been something else. But I had said like I made reference to the Upside Down. Most recently, in like the most recent season of Stranger Things, season 4, it's revealed that basically time froze in the Upside Down. The night will disappear. It's that same night. So like say like I think will disappear like 1983. It's still 1983, even though it's been years in the normal world. So it's interesting to see like. So I'm assuming like, cause what the if I remember correctly, didn't the construction, deconstruction, the demolition is the word I'm looking for, of Kowloon start in the summer? So I wonder, is July 1st the day that the demolition started? So, or maybe it's like the day before the demolition started. So it was like the last day before Kowloon ended up being in the process of being demolished. Because like I know it didn't, because I remember they said it was going to start in the summer, because that was something like Kudo wanted to propose to Kujirai before the summer, because this is going to be like her last summer being able to be in Kowloon. And we saw from the reports last episode in that flashback when like Miyuki and Gwen first met that the demolishment finished up in October, I believe it was saying. So that's why I'm wondering, like, is it supposed to be like right before Kowloon got demolished is where the state of the illusionary Kowloon is? So they're still missing that variable piece in all of this that's making it. It's like, once again, it's got to be something about Kowloon specifically, because to fully rectify this situation, because once again, Yao Mei's worried like, yo, like Yao Mei and Reiko kind of have a similar fear, because Reiko's like, because Yao Mei left, what if when she comes back she can't see Kowloon nor me? And then Yao Mei's worried about the same thing, like, what if I come back and I can't see Reiko or Kowloon? Like, they're both worried about the same thing, just on opposite sides of it. Same fear, just different perspectives on the fear, to some degree. And she just wants to make sure she can find a way to basically make it so that her friend can still exist outside of whatever the situation is. And so to really even fully understand that, they have to understand what caused this Kowloon to be the way it is. Why is it up here? Once again, why can some people see it that others can't? It doesn't have to just be a residency thing, because once again, Yao Mei can see it, even though she never lived in Kowloon City number 2. She doesn't, to our knowledge so far, she doesn't seem to have any correlation or connection to it. Yulong wants to see the city so desperately, but he can't see it. So it's interesting. And so he ends up telling her something too, which I'm wondering if it's connected to the Hebi Numa incident that old guy was talking to her about. But either way, we never found out what it was, but she's going to talk to Reiko about it when she gets back. And I thought it was interesting that he ends up handing her a piece of candy, and I'm wondering like, what would that in reference to? I wonder, was that him testing the waters of, what was it, just giving her a candy? Because that was almost like a thank you for the information. This was kind of a nice back and forth we had. They're both kind of in a similar position, because they say like, yo, we want to help our best friends, I think in Yulong's case it's Miyuki. I don't think it's Gwen. I think it's Miyuki, isn't it? And then obviously in Yao Mei's case, it's Reiko, which just made me realize, like, I almost forgot about another angle to the story, and that's Shohei. Like, there's another Shohei that shows up that's kind of in tactical gear and everything, and sees the little Shohei, and it's like, ooh, that Lolita look is great or whatever. And I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Why are you like? So that's why I was like, is that supposed to be Shohei's sibling or something? like they look like they're the same person, the same tooth thing, same hair. Obviously, the hairstyle is different, but I'm like, I don't know if that's supposed to be a sibling or did this one was like, did Xiao Mei like have like a because I don't know that other Xiao Hei's like that person looks androgynous, so I can't tell if it's like they are male or female. Maybe I was like wondering, like, did they transition? Does that have some kind of effect? Because this tackled some interesting things I would never expected it to, like the whole Miyuki situation where it's like, well, he has both male and female sex organs. So I'm like, that's why I'm like, I don't know if that's like I said, the person looked androgynous. It looked and sounded androgynous enough that I'm like, I actually don't know because I'm like, typically it's like if you like just entering Kowloon, Shohei should have disappeared. So that's why I'm like, not unless we found out like. Not unless we're going to find out something where it's like, does she have a twin? And that twin, like, maybe the original, like, oh God, I was about to say there's a side quest in Trails Through Daybreak that has a similar thing. Anyway, I was wondering, like, could it be like, you're the sibling that survived and the other sibling died for whatever reason. And so that Shohei doesn't have to worry about disappearing, but you are the twin sibling, whether it's like a identical twin or like a fraternal twin, most likely a fraternal twin. I don't know what to make of that, but it seemed like, and whoever they are, they work for Miyuki's dad. And even him saying like, right, just because I'm an old man, don't underestimate me, son. So it's like, probably knows what his son is up to, but it's like it's just a matter of who's going to strike first, who's going to get what they want first. He snuck someone in there, and they're going to probably keep it low key. But like, what is it exactly they're going to do here in Kowloon? It's unclear because it seemed like they might have been keeping an eye on Reiko because she does seem to be the piece, like a very special piece to the puzzle. That probably what Miyuki's dad needs to do what he wants. Obviously, Miyuki's taking an interest in Reiko as well, so. And just happen to see like the other Shohei. So I'm curious to see what that situation ends up being. But Yao Mei does come back to Kowloon and she contacts Reiko about like, yo, I need to talk to you. And then and that ends with Reiko waking up in her and Kujo sat together. You're like, oh wow, you guys we're knocking boots. So it's like, oh, that's good. That's nice. You're progressing in the right direction. So that's good. I think we're kind of somewhat over the hump, but I don't think it's completely over yet. But it's going to be interesting. Is here Yao Mei obviously bring up a lot of this because it's not just her and Reiko. Gwen's going to be a part of that conversation too. I wonder will they bring Kudo into the fold? Because Kudo probably won't care because for him it's like I'm going to stay here forever, so it doesn't matter to me. So it's going to be interesting if we end up finding like Kudo on the opposite side of things because he wants things to stay the same and he doesn't want things to change, and so he doesn't want to lose her. So it's like, yes, I don't want to unravel any mysteries because it could destroy everything that's here, and I like what we have here, and I don't want things to change. I want things to stay as they are, even though things are changing because this Reiko isn't his Reiko, but he's okay with that. But everything else kind of being as much the same as possible, that's probably going to be an interesting thing to run into. Or maybe Kudo's going to be a lot more a part of this squad than I'm thinking, but it seems like this trio of Gwen, Yao Mei, and Reiko, and obviously Miyuki and Yulong kind of on their own path as well, those are going to be the main investigators of this whole situation, it seems. But we'll have to wait to see where the next episode ends up taking us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.